Previously on Long Island's Hidden History, Charles Lindbergh made the first ever solo transatlantic flight in history from Roosevelt Field to Paris. From 1919 to 1939, about 24 aviation companies operated on Long Island. Though no longer used as an airport, the runways and air traffic control towers still remain. The dive into Long Island's past as a hub for military activity uncovered a number of hidden secrets relating to aviation. But Long Island's aviating history goes even further. Just how many former airports are hidden in the mundane landscape we know today? Get ready to take a flight back in time in this episode of Long Island's Hidden History. Before we look back, let's review the current setup of Long Island's airports. In Queens, JFK and LaGuardia handle most of the New York area's commercial air travel. Further east, Republic Airport lies on the Nassau-Suffolk border, handling mostly private travel. Then there is MacArthur Airport and Islip, housing both private and commercial operations. Even further east, private charters and general aviators can fly into Brookhaven Calabro Airport, Gabreski Airport in West Hampton Beach, East Hampton Airport, or Montauk Airport. But as we will find out, the aviation landscape used to look a lot different. We will start in Nassau County at Valley Stream's Curtis Wright Airport. This was briefly mentioned in the previous episode as the spot where the Grumman Corporation relocated after they outgrew their Baldwin garage. The airfield was opened in 1929 by the Curtis Wright Company, a joint venture between Glenn Curtis and the Wright brothers. Curtis Field was Long Island's largest commercial airport at the time, having been used for general aviation, manufacturing, and as a naval base through the 1930s and 1940s. The airfield's triangular runway layout can be seen on the 1947 USGS map, as well as in this aerial shot. The airport closed in 1947, and by 1956, the development of Green Acres Mall was in full swing. However, Columbia's aircraft hangars were left intact south of the mall, as seen on the 1969 USGS map. Of the 6 Columbia hangars left standing, 2 were razed to build Home Depot in the 1990s. However, 4 of them still stand to this day. In the industrial park behind Green Acres, the hangars can be clearly identified with the aircraft logo still remaining at the top. Next, we move to the North Shore, to the Manhasset Isles section of Port Washington, where there used to be a Seaplane Airport directly on Manhasset Bay starting in 1926. This photo is one of the best aerial shots of the airport during its prime. The land is now a thick wooded area with no remaining traces of the airport. However, artifacts have been found buried in the sand along the shoreline. The 1947 USGS map has it labeled as the New York Seaplane Airport. Satellite imagery from 1994 shows a building still remaining on the property, but the land was totally cleared by the 2000s. The Seaplane Airport was used by many well-known aviators, including Charles Lindbergh. It was also not uncommon to spot seaplanes with various foreign flags landing at the airport. Special thanks to Matt from the Manhasset Isles Civic Association Marina for the inside scoop about the Seaplane Airport. Further east in Hicksville, the Long Island Aviation Country Club opened in 1929 as a private airport for Long Island's aviating elite. Charles Lindbergh was a member. These aerial shots show the double-arched roof of the main hangar with the name printed on the roof. The club is shown on the 1947 USGS map, but by 1948, the area was becoming more suburban, making it less feasible for there to be an airport in the area. The field was eventually sold and divided up into housing plots to become the suburban neighborhood we know today. Residents who live in the area of Hicksville west of Jerusalem Avenue and north of the former Motor Parkway right-of-way may have no idea that their properties used to be an airport. No remaining traces of the airport remain today. Slightly south of the Aviation Club, Fitzmaurice Airport of Massapequa Park was another flying field for general aviators. Fitzmaurice was the landing point of the world's first east-to-west transatlantic flight in 1928. The 1947 USGS map shows the location of Fitzmaurice. The plot of land is still visible in today's landscape between Spruce Street, Smith Street, Roosevelt Avenue, and 2nd Avenue, having not been developed into housing like the rest of the surrounding neighborhood. It is now McKenna Elementary School and the Nassau County Police Academy. A historical marker on Spruce Street pays homage to its existence, as well as the nearby Fitzmaurice Street. Now over the border into Suffolk, Zhans Airport in North Amityville started in 1945 when World War II flight instructor Ed Lyons leased a portion of Joe Zhahn's farm as a place to teach aviation. As business boomed, Zhahn became a partner and the two set aside 840 acres of land to become Zhans Airport. After Roosevelt Field closed in 1951, Zhans took the spot as the busiest general aviation airfield in America. It is seen on the 1954 USGS map. The airfield was actually used to depict Roosevelt Field for some scenes in the 1957 film Spirit of St. Louis, based on Charles Lindbergh's historic transatlantic flight. In 1980, the airport was turned into the industrial park that could be seen today. A very small piece of tarmac remains buried between the buildings. This is believed to be the former area of the airfield occupied by the National Guard. When the town of Babylon purchased the property, the Department of Defense would not initially relinquish this piece of land. Conveniently, when the Nike missile program started up during the Cold War, the Amityville missile site was built right across the street from Zhans Airport. This is also still visible today. Further north in Comac lies the former Brinley Airfield. Brinley was established as a satellite of Mitchell Field to expand on the military aviation training already underway in East Garden City. The field was located at what is now Home Depot, Modell's, and Staples in the northeast corner of Jericho Turnpike and Larkfield Road in Comac. Although this field was only operable for 1 year from 1918 to 1919, it left quite the mark on the area. Slightly east near the corner of Havemeyer Lane and Oatley Place lies a historical marker indicating the location of a crash that killed 2 pilots who had taken off from Brinley Field. Back on the main site, in the middle of the parking lot, lies one of the creepiest historical remnants in this entire series. Just outside Home Depot lies a miniature cemetery containing the graves of the Burr family, who took over the land to be used as their family farm after Brinley Field closed. It is surreal to see in person. The Burr family trained racehorses at their nearby home on the appropriately named Burr Road. Historical markers are in place at the Burr family home and at the Home Depot shopping center. The next piece of abandoned aviation history takes us to the Vanderbilt Mansion on Long Island's North Shore in Centerport. Most Long Islanders know the Vanderbilt Mansion as the former home of William Vanderbilt. When Vanderbilt passed away, he left his enormous property to the state with the provision that it become a museum. However, there is a part of the property that was never restored and integrated into the museum. Vanderbilt actually had his own personal seaplane hangar right on the bay. It is still standing and fully visible to this day down on the shoreline. The technology of this hangar was quite advanced for its time, featuring hydraulic sliding doors and an electric winch to tow the plane in from the water. The ramp and hangar sit in ruins right on Northport Bay. Several smaller, less significant airports were in Deer Park, Islip, Central Islip, Smithtown, and Coram. Deer Park Airport was located just south of the current Tanger Arches outlets and operated until 1974. It is visible in the 1954 USGS map as well as in this aerial shot. Today, it is an industrial park and gated community with no visible remnants of its past as an airport. In Islip, an airport was located at the site of what is now an industrial park south of Spur Drive South. It is visible in the 1947 USGS map. This airfield opened in 1928 and its dedication ceremony was attended by Amelia Earhart. Nothing from the land's previous use as an airport remains today. Slightly further north in central Islip, an airport was located just southwest of the intersection of Route 100 and Route 111. The land is now mostly used as a PSEG yard facility. In Smithtown, an airport was located on the land that is now a cluster of county buildings. It is visible in the 1956 USGS map as Smithtown Aviation Country Club. Surprisingly, at the northern edge of the land, one of the hangars from Smithtown Aviation Club still remains intact. Calverton Airport was located just southeast of the intersection of Route 112 and Middle Country Road. It is visible on the 1967 USGS map and was labeled as an airport as recently as 2010. The dirt path of the former runway is still visible in the densely wooded area, though unfortunately difficult to access to view up close. Now to St. James. Flowerfield Airport once existed on the land that is now the Stony Brook University Research and Development Center. A group of aviators from Fitzmaurice Field in Massapequa established Flowerfield in 1951 after Fitzmaurice's closure. The land included one runway and a helipad to the southwest. Long before the days of self-driving cars and remote-controlled drones, Flowerfield was the site of the first ever unmanned helicopter flight as seen in these photos. The area is now home to Flowerfield Fairgrounds and Flowerfield Celebrations, a catering facility, both bearing the same name as the airport. The name Flowerfield was derived from the acres of flowers that grew in the area before it was an airport. The airport is labeled on the 1956 USGS map, and historical imagery from 1994 shows the path of the runway up until the mid-2000s. Today, the runway is no longer visible, however the site of the helipad still remains buried in the woods. Next, we will move to a site that has been previously discussed, Calverton Executive Air Park. Established as Grumman Airport, Calverton remains today as an industrial park, now known as Enterprise Park at Calverton. Grumman vacated the property in 1996. The runways were last used by Skydive Long Island until they ceased operations in 2015. Since then, no air traffic has flown in or out of Calverton. However, the twin runways still remain, as well as many airplane hangars that have been converted into industrial facilities. In 1996, a hangar at Calverton was used to reconstruct the fuselage of TWA Flight 800, a 747 that exploded over the water off Long Island after taking off from JFK. Proposals to revive the land have included a racetrack, solar farm, shopping center, and artificial ski mountain. However, it still remains mostly a barren industrial area. I am not the only one to say they feel a unique, eerie presence when on the Calverton property. Lastly, in Eastport lies the former Spadaro Airport. Spadaro opened in June 1962 by flight instructor and airport mechanic Bart Spadaro. The property included an asphalt runway and many storage hangars. The airport closed due to noise complaints, however the runway is still completely intact and visible. No planes remain on the property, however next door, Lufker Airport is still operable with its grass runway and is used for skydiving. Special thanks to the owners of Spadaro Airport for allowing me onto the property to get these shots. Most Long Islanders today probably have no idea that the land now known for its traffic and rows of suburban homes was once a haven for aviation enthusiasts. Special thanks to Paul Freeman of Abandoned and Little Known Airfields for his extensive content on abandoned airports. Stay tuned for a special bonus episode featuring additional historical remnants from all 5 episodes of Long Island's Hidden History.